Addressing burnout can be a huge pain. When you feel like you just dropped all of the balls that you were trying to juggle, it can be really overwhelming. It can also be really hard to figure out where you need to start again or how you can start a new routine. And the intense feeling of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion does not help us at all either. If you've experienced burnout at all, this video is for you. I'm no stranger to feeling exhausted or burnt out, and so I wanted to share 6 tips that I have developed that help me address burnout. There are 3 tips that are preemptive, or they help me before I start feeling burnt out, or they help me notice I might feel burnt out, and then I'm going to talk about 3 tips that help you when you are actually feeling burnt out. My first tip is just to know the signs of burnout. We cannot address problems that we are not aware of. And so awareness and knowledge is the first key to helping us figure out what we can do to help us avoid burnout or address burnout when we are feeling it. And so I've actually created another video all about what burnout is and how you can recognize burnout. If you have not done that already, I encourage you to check that out. There will be a link to that video in the description of this video. The second thing we can do to preempt burnout is to start building out our self-awareness. We need to know what we are feeling and how we are feeling so we can address burnout or avoid burnout. We need to keep track of what makes us feel stressed, what makes us feel tired, and what makes us feel energized or motivated. Now, there are 2 ways for you to build self-awareness that I want to talk about. The first is journaling. When we start journaling, we build up that self-awareness that will help us avoid burnout. So jot down in a journal or a sheet of paper or a notebook what makes you feel stressed, what makes you feel frustrated, what makes you feel overwhelmed. These can be anything from having small talk to having an unrealistic workload at work. Also notice what helps you feel more energized and helps you feel good. This might be cuddling with your dog, it might be going for a walk, it might be playing a video game. Keep track of, for you, what helps you feel better. Then start to write out what are you feeling, especially when you are burnt out. Write out, why do you feel burnt out? Why do you think you are burnt out? Identifying those causes, those root causes of our burnout can be one of the critical first steps in helping us eliminate the thing that is causing our burnout from our life. Another thing you can do to build your awareness is use apps. Now, I've used 2 apps to help me keep track of my mental health and my mood. The first app that I've used before is called Finch, and the second app that I've used before is called Sanvello. And I'll include some links to those apps in the description below. But those apps help you keep track of your mood, noticing when you're feeling good. It helps you notice when you're not feeling so good. And those apps also include some tips and tricks that you can use to boost your mood in that moment. Now, the third preemptive trick I have for you is to start making decisions ahead of time. This is something that I've worked on a lot with my therapist. My therapist noticed that I had a lot of decision fatigue. It was really, really hard for me to make basic decisions like, what do I want for breakfast? What do I want to wear today? And so the solution that we came up with is for me to plan ahead and know that I will do certain things when I am feeling stressed. So for example, when I was feeling really stressed, it made it hard for me to pick what I wanted for breakfast. What I did is decide every time I'm feeling stressed and can't make a decision, I will have a protein shake. And so I kept some protein shakes in my apartment. And that was a good choice because I normally did not want to eat when I was feeling stressed. And I had that decision to go. So as soon as I could not make a decision, my decision was made for me. I couldn't think of something I wanted, and so I immediately headed and had a protein shake. And I did that for things like what I wanted to wear, where I wanted to go for lunch, what I wanted for dinner. I had all those decisions laid out for me, and sometimes I even wrote those down so I could remember what my decision was. So now that we've discussed 3 of our preemptive measures that we can take to help us stave off burnout, I want to share 3 additional tips that I have for you about what you can do when you are feeling burnt out. And the first tip, the most basic tip, is that you need to start reducing your demands. Reduce, and reduce again. Think about all the things that energize you and keep those in the schedule, but then think about all the things that drain you and try to get as many of those out of your schedule as possible. And use your journal from before to help you do that. I want to mention now that you should not feel bad or shame for having to cancel things or put things off till next week. You need to take care of yourself first, and you cannot pour from an empty cup. So we need to first focus on filling ourselves back up before we can do any tasks that we want to do. So here's kind of a list of things you can think about that you might be able to reduce out of your schedule. If you have to wash dishes, maybe you would have a stash of paper plates in your house so you can use those paper plates instead of having to make more dishes before you do those dishes. Maybe you have a few extra pairs of clothes lying around your house or in your closet that you can wear so you don't have to do laundry this week. You might be able to advocate for an extension on an assignment or a task that you have to do for work. Can you maybe take a sick day? Can you maybe put self-care time in your calendar weekly so you have a time every week that you can focus on caring for yourself? Can you ask a friend or a family member to help you with one of the chores that you have to do that week? Any of these kinds of things that you can do to reduce what the load in your schedule will help you in the long run and help you address the burnout that you are feeling. The next thing that we need to do is start practicing self-care. And now when I say self-care, I don't necessarily mean watching Netflix, finding a new TV show that we can binge watch and just sitting on our couch for the day. Now there's certainly a place for that in our lives, but that's not what I want us to focus on when we're thinking about self-care in these moments. Instead, what we need to think about is the basic needs that we have and that we need to meet. Oftentimes when we're exhausted, those critical basic needs like feeding ourselves, taking showers, all of those are the first things to go. We might start forgetting to eat or eat healthy, and so we want to address that first. I know I've skipped plenty of showers when I felt burnt out, but that is actually probably the thing that I needed the most. I needed to feel refreshed. I needed to feel clean. Think of it this way. It is almost impossible for us to start feeling better and more energized if we're not addressing our most basic needs. And so we want to make sure that we are addressing and prioritizing those basic needs first. The next thing that we can do is make sure that we're finding support. Finding people that we can talk to about what we're feeling. Finding people that we don't need to mask or feel like we're hiding our neurodivergence or hiding our stress or hiding what is wrong, and that we can talk openly about what we're feeling to them. When we talk to other people, first it helps us feel more validated in what we're feeling. It also might help us brainstorm other things that we can be doing in order to get back on track and get those balls moving once again. And it can just feel good to be in a community of people who support you. And so think of people that you might be able to talk to. Maybe it is a therapist or a counselor. Maybe you have a close friend that you feel really comfortable sharing things with. And once you start feeling really comfortable and you're talking with them and finding support, that might be a good time to ask, hey, can you help me do something? Maybe you're really anxious about going grocery shopping, and so you can ask that friend to come with you to go grocery shopping and reduce the mental load of having to make choices at the grocery store. And one way you can find support is to subscribe to our channel. We are working here to build out that kind of community where you can find support, encouragement if you're trying to achieve something in higher education, if you're trying to do something in your career, or if you just have life goals that you want to meet. We are here to help you with that. So please join us as we work to cultivate a community and the skills necessary for us to succeed in higher education and in life. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have a good one.